Well, good evening, Campfire crew. This Tony and 50 checking in from East Tennessee. So we're up here today in the mountains and it's snowing. I hope that you guys can see the snow that's falling behind us. It is beautiful up here. We're on top of a mountain and we're in a cabin. It's a very beautiful place to be. We were sitting around the fireplace talking and laughing and cutting up, and 50 told us a story about when he was a kid. So, believe it or not, he was raised in the household of a Church of God preacher. So his dad's pastored churches forever and ever and was my pastor at one point in time. But that is a very interesting man. So I asked my buddy, Jerry, would he be kind enough to take a few minutes and tell us a couple of stories about things that his dad did growing up as the son of a Church of God preacher. Jerry, tell us some things that happened.
Well, we're in East Tennessee, and that's where the Church of God began.
Okay.
And we got talking about that. My brother-in-laws, got two brother-in-laws that are Church of God ministers, and one of them's father was a Church of God minister from Tennessee. But being Pentecostal was an experience. You never went to church not expecting something to happen. Now, it might have been a miracle, because you always say,
Okay.
but it could be something very memorable that wasn't a miracle. But because Pentecostal churches, as good as they are, and I still attend one, they draw the best people that ever lived and the craziest folks that ever wore shoe leather.
I got it.
And we've had some stuff, and my dad, not meaning to, could be very comical. And that's what made it so funny, was he wasn't meaning to.
I got you.
And we had a lot of things happen over the years, but one of the first things I remember, I was just a kid, and Dad was pastoring a mining camp. And the place was called Brantleyville. It's in Shelby County. And it was rough. Them people wore their shoes out from the inside.
Okay.
I mean, they was some rough folks. We had one little woman that tried to kill her husband. She poisoned him with rat poison. I remember going with my dad to take a gun away from a guy who had killed the son of one of our members, 2 houses up the road from us. I was playing in the yard. We heard a shotgun go off, and Dad went up and disarmed him and held him for the law to get there. And those things aren't funny, but one night at Brantleyville, we were having one of those knockdown, drag-out Pentecostal services, everybody shouting. No man had his jacket on, which meant it was a good service. They had taken them off and covered the lady's legs so the rest of us wouldn't lust and split hell wide open.
Got you.
So they was bobby pins flying. They was doing that helicopter thing with the hair, and those, that big tall, looked like Marge Simpson hair. It wasn't blue, but it done come down. And we rolled into like hour number 3. And a storm rolled up and knocked the electricity out. But not to be deterred by Mother Nature, Dad went to the house and got a Coleman lantern and a gallon of fuel, which was a good idea. But filling it up in the dark on top of the piano without a funnel or a flashlight, not so good idea. Okay, so unbeknown to him, he had poured more of that fuel on the piano than into the lantern. And so when he lit it, it went woof, and the piano went up in flames. I will never forget the image. It's burned into my mind. My dad, all those old churches, they had a curtain that went across and hung on either side. Every church, it could have been a law, I don't know, but they all had it. And he grabbed that and beat the flames on the piano into submission. Now, it takes a lot to end a Pentecostal service, but I found out that night that setting the piano on fire will do it. So we all went home after that. But that was just one thing. But I'll fast forward a little bit right here and tell you another one real quick. Dad had always wanted to see the whole. Dad grew up poor. I mean, they went to Kentucky Fried Chicken to lick other people's fingers. They were that poor. Okay? They built their own houses. Dad got to go to school when there wasn't cotton to be picked. He didn't finish school till he got out and finished on the GI Bill when he got out of the military.
Okay.
Went on, got a college degree, but always wanted to see the Holy Land. Well, my brother-in-law, Jerry Irwin, he's a minister, Church of God minister. They got up a trip. And Dad got to go to the Holy Lands. And they got over there, and the Israelis have capitalized on Christians coming and wanting to be baptized in the Jordan River. And Dad and all that little group wanted to be baptized, and they gave them these white robes to put on. And Dad put on his white robe, and everybody put on their white robe. And Dad and my brother-in-law, Jerry, they got out in the Jordan, and they were baptizing everybody. Well, you know, I said we Pentecostal.
Yeah.
So Dad got happy. And when he got happy, he got to shouting. He got speaking in tongues. He got to waving his arms. He got to running a little bit. He would run the back of the pews, had been known to do so. But he got out of the deep water and got into the shallow water, which was fine. But everybody else had enough sense to keep on their clothes under their little white robe. Dad kept his clothes dry, which meant all he had on was a thin white robe that was wet. Oh. So we have on file a Preacher's Gone Wild tape that we kept in case Dad, we could blackmail him with that from time to time. But Dad's gone on to his reward, but we still have those memories, and I'll never forget him.
Okay, Jerry, I remember maybe a couple of years ago, you told us a story about your dad fixing the heat and air unit in the attic of the church.
Yeah, I remember that. And it's in my book, Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition, which is available on Kindle books if you want to know. But yeah, I was just a little kid. We had gone to South Alabama, to Baldwin County, to pastor a church, a place called Crossroads. Strangely, it's where two roads crossed each other.
Strange enough.
138 and 225 in Baldwin County. But the church was on a slab, like all buildings in South Alabama back then. It was on a concrete slab. And we went out to the church one day, and it smelled like gas, natural gas, real strong. And I was just a kid, but I looked at Dad, and he was going to check it out. And I said, "Don't we need to cut the gas off?" He said, "No, I used to work on this stuff. I'll be all right."
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just a kid. I followed the lead, and I just kept my mouth shut. And I watch as he gets a ladder, and he brings it to the attic entry, and he goes up into the attic, and I'm standing there, and he climbs up that ladder, and he disappears into the attic, and I'm just a youngin' standing there looking up in that black hole, and all of a sudden I hear, "Woo!" And I see a bright flash.
The whole attic lit up.
Followed by my dad diving head first out that hole. He went down that ladder, boogity, 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 hit the ground, bounced up like nothing happened, and said, "Hey, let's let that hair out a little bit." Now, he had one of those peninsula hairdos where his hairline had receded,
sure,
but he had that little peninsula sticking out. He didn't have that anymore.
Okay.
His hair on his arms was gone. His eyelashes were gone. His eyebrows were gone. And I thought, well, I really don't see any sense in letting that hair out now, but hey, we'll do that, But I wonder if it's a wonder it hadn't hurt him badly. Same church. Pentecostal preachers would run the aisle. You've been there. You've seen them. They get excited. They ain't staying behind the pulpit. Okay? If you have trouble falling asleep in church, visit a Pentecostal church.
They will keep you awake.
Yes. You might get scared a little bit, but it's okay. They ain't going to hurt you. All right. But he would run as far as he could down that aisle, and he'd get caught, pull back. Run down that aisle, and he'd get caught, pull back. So technology advanced to the point that they come out with a new innovation, a cordless mic. And he bought him one. And he had that thing on, and he was so proud of his new cordless mic. And he was sitting up there during the choir service portion of the service, and they were singing, and we did some singing now. We're not like the Church of Christ. They may have really good quality singers. We need some music to drown some of ours out, so we get loud. We got the full band, okay? And they're playing, and Dad thinks, it's a good time for me to go to the bathroom before I get up to preach, which was probably a good idea. Yeah. But he goes to the restroom, and the song ends. And suddenly, over the PA comes a sound of water splashing, a little pooting going on, little whistling, and it paints a picture that nobody has to ask what's going on. Okay? And he walks back in and sits down, and it's quiet. You could hear a pin drop. No one was saying a word. And then some kid on the front pew went, and that's all it took. The whole church went up in smoke.
So your dad wore his wireless bike to the bathroom?
He did. Oh. It was funny.
That's good times. Great times. Okay, so we have heard story after story after story. So one thing that Jerry has done in the past is Jerry has written a book about the stories and the life of a preacher's kid growing up in the Church of God. So I've asked Jerry, would he mind from time to time stopping by Campfire and Countryside, and let's have a campfire conversation about things that took place in his childhood, which was very interesting. So Jerry is going to definitely come back by sometimes, and we're going to sit down and we're going to talk and we're going to have these conversations. Now, I'm going to put a link to his book down in the comment section. So if you guys ever want to go and check out his book and hear some of these stories, y'all do so. Jerry, we appreciate you coming by. We always enjoy having a campfire conversation with interesting people. All right, from the mountains of East Tennessee, and as always, life's an adventure. Don't get caught sitting at home. You should be up here in the mountains with me and Jerry
Watching it snow.
watching it snow.